Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm going to do a couple of things in this video because I need to switch out these rotors, right? So we'll just do the back wheel because doing the rotor in the front's going to be exactly the same. So I'll just work on the back wheel in this one, and we'll switch out the rotors to these nice XT rotors. These are a better like ice technology. You can see the extra aluminum to help dissipate heat and stuff like that, and kind of a little bit better center spider device. I'm assuming they're gonna be a little lighter and such. So yeah, now that I got the new brakes in there, we'll switch out the rotors. But while I'm at it, I know I need to go in and do some work and kind of rebuild the cassette. Mainly within the cassette body, because I've noticed there's some times when it stops clicking, and somebody told me these Shimano ones tend to be a little funky. So let's go in and take a look at that also while we're at it. Cool. I don't have my extra media light to shine in there right now, but when I do this work, I'll light this up a little better so it's easier to see what's going on. If you haven't noticed, I kind of rearranged my shop a little bit. I'm trying to get this a little more organized. So I used to have my bike over there, but I'm going to put shelves over here so I can get a lot of this excess junk up there and around on some shelves and just have things a little more organized here. I have all my winter kind of riding gear and stuff organized over there. I moved my trainer over there, whatever, but that's not what this video is about. It's going to be about this bad boy and finishing it up, because this is kind of the last bit of work I have to do on it. And then we're going to move to my other bike, the Esker Hey Duke. I've got kind of a re-overhaul to do on that, a bunch of cleaning on it, and that's also the bike that the carbon wheels, whenever I get them, is going to go on. Cool. So let's get to doing this work. So first things first is removing the rear wheel. Which side do I have to do this from? This is side. Yep. I'm going to show you something that's pretty important. I already shifted it into its smallest gear. There probably is a little device on here that locks out the brake, but I never remember to use it. I'm just so used to not locking out the brake, but locks out the cassette. So used to taking wheels off without the new cassette clutch mechanism. Alright, I just pull it back and the wheel comes right out, so I don't know. So this is what we're going to work on today. So a little tip, these guys, it's really smart that after you remove the rear wheel, that you put that little piece in your brake. Or if you're ever traveling with your bike and you take the wheels off, you want to put this in there. You put that in your brake because if somebody, whether it be yourself or somebody else, walks up and squeezes the brake lever, you're not screwed. If this wasn't in there and somebody squeezed the brake lever, the brake pads would get pushed together, and then the mechanism in here would automatically reset the brake pads to being closer, so then when you went to put the wheel back in, your rotor wouldn't slide up in there. So just a little extra thing to make sure you do, and that way if this sits here for a while, or let's just say it takes me a day or more to do this work, this can sit here and I don't have to worry about somebody, coming up and squeezing the lever, or me forgetting and squeezing the lever. Okay, so something to note here is this mechanism to take this off requires this guy. This is actually the cassette removal tool. So if I flip this around, it's the tool that fits in here to remove the cassette. It's kind of cool because Shimano makes it so the same tool is used to remove your rotor. So I basically just have to stick a open end wrench on there and I can pull the rotor off. So I'm actually going to be using the same tool to work on both sides of this wheel. So basically I'm going to use the open end adjustable wrench. Some people call these spanners. I've never called it a spanner wrench. Put that on there. For those that are critical about which way these go on there, here, I'm going to do this the correct way. Just to satisfy you people. So that comes off. And I don't have to put that much torque on it. It doesn't matter. Good practice is to try not to touch the brake part of the rotor, because if you get, you know, just oils on there and stuff, your brakes won't work as good. And I will probably reuse this on a different bike, so because it still looks like it has some life left in it. All right, so that's that side. Might as well take the cassette off while I'm here and have all the tools. This I've had times when these are really hard to get off. Oh, you know what I'm forgetting? My chain whip, which I believe is right here. The whole purpose of a chain whip is to hold this in place like that, so I can break this loose. Now I did this on my Ritmo AF a while ago and it was really hard. This one's not on as hard. One thing I want to be careful of is just to make sure I don't make this cassette fall all apart and have to like figure out how to reposition all the spacers. Let's set this over here as best as I can. And there you go. Now everything's removed from the hub. I can go in here and clean it. I'm gonna see, I gotta look up how to take this off because I haven't ever done a Shimano one. Sounds okay, but I just want to go in there, re-grease, clean that up. Might as well. If you notice, this is micro spline. This is the first time I've ever had a bike with micro spline. Well, this does, and my Esther Hey Duke does. But this is the first time I've actually ever taken one apart. The only difference is there's more splines. They're tighter together. Everything else is identical to the standard spline system that was common with Shimano for many years. So there you go. Cool. Alright. One other thing I'm going to make sure I don't do is there's this thing for the rotor and then this guy for the cassette. They do look different, but sometimes when I'm putting something back together, I might think, oh, which one was for what? So I'm going to make sure this goes and sits over here with the cassette so I don't get it confused, and this one stays over with the rotors. Okay, so I cleaned this up. You can still see tiny little bits of red, but again, when something isn't actually mechanically malfunctioning, I'm not going to mess with it. But one thing I did do is I loosened up these axle kind of tensioners. One of the things I know about Shimano is they tend to use free ball bearings, and I'm not 100% sure if that's a sealed cartridge or a free ball bearing in there, and I think it's probably free ball bearing. Free ball bearings actually roll better than sealed cartridge bearings, but once I kind of pulled this off, I noticed it was cone shaped, so that's a sign that it's free bearing, and I just didn't want to get into that kind of mess because everything looked really clean and good in there. There wasn't grit and grime, it was well lubed. So what I did is I loosened it a little bit just so I could get a little bit of space in here where the cassette is, and I put a little bit of Philwood tenacious oil in there. This stuff's magic. And so after doing that, it doesn't before I'd be spinning this and all of a sudden it would hit quiet mode. Now it doesn't ever do that. It's just nice and consistent clicking, feels smoother, things like that. So I have a feeling, I don't know if the pawls get stuck or what happens in there, but I've never had a problem with it not engaging. Sometimes I'd be riding and I'd be coasting, and then it would go from clicking to quiet, and I was always wondering why that was. So now it seems like whatever I did by putting that in there seems to have fixed it. And we'll see. I don't know. We will see. Now I'm going to take a look at my cassette, and what I really want to look for is like tooth wear, and it actually looks pretty good, believe it or not. And it's a little grimy, but it's not super dirty. A lot of mechanics and stuff would put something like this in parts cleaner and get it all cleaned up. I'm just going to give it a general cleaning as best as I can and throw it back on. I'm not that concerned about it. One of the things I did notice is this is XT, so it's weird because this also comes with a hodgepodge of parts, and I'm noticing the rear wheel is a XT rear hub, XT cassette, XT rear derailleur. So even though it's the SLX model, it's not all SLX components. What I've been hearing, if you're wondering kind of why that might be, is with the supply chain shortage, a lot of bike companies are throwing in parts that they can find, and by doing that they don't want to downgrade a bike for people to upgrade. It's also kind of why things have taken a small price hike too. They're having to throw stuff they can find or they're readily available just so they can sell bikes. So that might be why this is a little mix match. So a win for me, I guess. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take this. I just keep my fingers through there. I'm gonna throw this on the micro drive, and I just keep rotating it. I rotate it in the direction where this won't spin, so I know I'm not spinning it, and then I'll find out which one has the right key position. It might be different. This is the first time I've ever dealt with micro spline, so I'm not 100% sure. There it goes. Huh. That was a royal pain in the butt, but I finally got them lined up properly. So now I can snug it on there. Tight. Oh, now it gets quiet. So that's what I was wondering about. Weird. That's not normal. Okay, now that we got the pain in the butt cassette back on, time to put the rotor on. There is no like right or wrong way to do it. It just goes on there, right? And then basically take this piece, thread it back on. Maybe. There it goes. And you use the same tool you used for the cassette. Let's get it a snug few clicks on there. Now that's on there. Good to go. probably the easiest removal and install right there. So I love the center lock design. Microspline, I mean, it's good, but it's really hard to get these cogs back on there. I struggled with that a bit, but I got it on there. Now let's put it back on the bike. So a couple of things to remember here. I did set the through axle in there. This is the kind of stuff I like to do, because otherwise I go set this down somewhere and then I'm like, where did I put the through axle? And I'm running around looking for it. So I'm a big fan of putting things kind of back where they belong so I don't lose them. And then I gotta remember to take this thing out. So the rotor goes in. Bring the wheel out. And for me, I just grab the back of the derailleur, line up the chain on that small cog, and then the wheel goes right up in there. Pretty easy to do for me, so I don't worry too much about these newfangled derailleurs that have the little lockout mechanism. Now, just making sure the axle's lined up. It's sometimes tricky. Salsas tend to always be a little challenging. This one's not so bad. Slide that on. It is ready to go. Seems to be clicking fine. There, it got quiet. So that always makes me wonder. But it engages. It might even be designed to do that. Anybody that knows about Shimano XT hubs and the mechanism, post in the comments if you understand why it goes quiet like that. Maybe that's intentional. I don't know. Maybe if you're going really fast, it gets quiet. If you're going slower, it's not quiet. Who knows? But that seems odd to me. So if somebody can comment and knows why that is, or if there is actually something wrong, then I'll take it and get it serviced or something. Anyway, let's play with the brake for a second. Brake works perfect. Of course, that's going to need to be broken in now. New pads, new rotor. There's definitely a break-in process. I'll go over that when I do it. But very important to break in your pads and rotors when you have either a new bike or you've put new parts on. Cool. There you have it. Disc brake full install now after all these videos. New XT brakes, new XT rotors, and I know the XT cranks on here, and I just have to switch out the rotor in the front, and this bike's good to go for spring. I am going to find out more information about the Shimano free hub body and how that's supposed to work and so on and so forth, and if this is normal and fine. If not, I'll get it serviced. Probably not by me unless it's something simple, but getting in with the bearings and all that, I don't know if I want to deal with that. Cool. Appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace. Hello, a little update at the tail end of this video. I did do some research about the Shimano XT rear hub, and apparently they have had some issues. There's some people out there reporting the 2020 hub going silent, and they've talked about problems with engagement. So what's interesting to me is I've never had a problem with engagement, and I just yeah, I don't know if you know anything more about this. Feel free to post in the comments. I'm not going to be that concerned about it. But if I do any traveling or anything, I'm going to make sure I have like an extra wheel or something with me just in case, so I can switch out if I have to. The nice thing is like my Esker Hey Duke has the same Shimano, same 148 rear through axle, things like that. So I could always just grab that wheel off that bike and bring it with me somewhere, so I have a spare wheel or something. I'm actually going to have an extra spare set of wheels because when those carbon wheels come in, the carbon wheels are going on my Esker Hey Duke, so I'm going to have a spare front and rear wheel. The only difference is those rims are pretty narrow. I might even rebuild them with wider rims because I don't really like those super narrow rims. We'll see. But either way, I'll figure this out, and I think I'm going to be good to go. It functions fine, so... if it ends up failing on me, I'll make sure I have a backup